Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 12th Feb today, and in this video we are going to solve some important questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. But before we will start our discussion, I would like to give the brief introduction about our initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically in this video, we are going to solve different types of questions and they would be taken from different sources. So depending upon the sources, if we will divide our discussion, it would come under three different parts. In the first part of our discussion, what we are going to do, we will take up the most important questions from the current affairs. What we will do, we'll take up the most important questions, most important topics from the current affairs. So we'll try to break them down into the simplest language possible, and we'll try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular articles so that it will give the idea which part of the newspaper is important for you, what should be your approach when you are reading your newspapers, and how you can expect a prelims question from those particular articles. So this is what we are going to do in the first part of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will shift our approach to the second part of our discussion, where we will solve questions with respect to static topics. Currently we are discussing Indian polity, and in Indian polity we are discussing the office of the president. Today we are going to discuss some legislative powers of the president and try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular topics so that it will give you the proper idea how the questions do actually come in the exam. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static part, we will shift our approach to the last part of our discussion where we will solve some previous year questions. To me, this is the most important part of our discussion because in this part, we will try to learn what is the vocabulary used by UPSC examiners when they frame your papers, what are the different techniques they follow, what are the different trends they follow, and also we will try to learn, suppose if we don't have the proper knowledge about any question, how we can still solve that question by different elimination methods, and also we'll try to learn how we can implement the knowledge which we get from these questions in the upcoming exams. So this is in a nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now before we will start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel. When you subscribe, it helps the channel grow, and also it motivates us to work more hard on such topics and provide the best information possible to you guys. And also please do share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative if you are getting so. And please do write in the comments what do you feel about the video. Now without any delay, let's start our discussion. As here on the screen, you can see the question is about the Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. So you may ask me a question here, sir, why we had brought this question? How we can connect it with the today's current affairs? If you would have read today's newspaper, you would have seen an article in the newspaper, in the Hindu newspaper today, which talked about India's role in South-South Climate Cooperation. India's India's role in South South Climate Cooperation. You would have seen this article. If you had not read it, then don't worry. I will try to give you the gist of this article and then we will solve the question. Basically about the South-South cooperation, if you could connect with me, yesterday also we discussed the South-South cooperation and how India can be the leader in this way, how India can show its leadership qualities in bringing the global South countries together in highlighting their concerns, how India can be the leader. We discussed that yesterday. But today, as the topic itself is about the climate corporation, how India can be the leader in it, how India's role in South-South corporation, South-South climate corporation, how India can be the leader and play its leadership role. Basically, since these climatic conventions had come in, India has always highlighted the concerns of the global South. You know, after when world started realizing the impact of the global warming, uh, when when world started realizing the impact of the global warming, and they started bringing in the conventions. For example, UNFCCC, they brought in conventions related to that. They brought different protocols, for example Kyoto protocol and others. So at that time India realized one thing which is very much important, that there is a definitely divide in the there is definitely divide in the developed and underdeveloped countries, and that divide the developed and that divide is basically the usage. What is this divide actually about? It is actually about the usage of fossil fuels. About one thing important you have to understand here is that developed countries since centuries, these developed countries since centuries, they had used fossil fuels without any hesitation, without any external pressure, and they had achieved this development on the stake of this on the stake of the fossil fuels that they had burned throughout the centuries. And when they had achieved this development, and then they had emitted so much amount of global greenhouse gases, then they realized the importance of curbing them. And at the same time, it was the turn for the underdeveloped and developing countries to release these fossil fuels, we can say, to burn these fossil fuels to achieve the development which the developed countries they had already achieved. So in this regard, they brought different conventions to now it is time to stop that. So India realized this concept, and India highlighted that, there is a need for the common but differentiated principle. There is a need for the common but differentiated principle. It was India highlighted it since 1990s, and it was actually brought in Kyoto Protocol. So what did India said? India said that, listen, you developed countries, I know you are now trying to slow down the rate of the global emissions, but the development you had achieved is on that stake only. You had burned all those fossil fuels since years. Now, how can you expect the developing countries to do so, to not do so, and follow your footsteps? Let us have our space. Let the developing countries burn the fossil fuels according to their need and achieve the level of development what you had achieved. So, in this case, India highlighted the principle of common but differentiated principle, that even though the climate issue is the common principle, but we have different responsibilities. That India highlighted that it is the responsibility of developed countries, the damage they had done since the centuries, now they have to pay to the developing countries the financial assistance, the technological assistance, so that let the developing countries burn fossil fuels, but at the same time they will, they will get the technology by which they can use the renewable energies and slow down the emission rates. So this is in nutshell about this principle, common but differentiated principle. So this is the story so far. This is the story so far. And in Paris Agreement, there was a principle highlighted which was internationally transferred mitigation outcome. So you would had heard about the carbon trading. About carbon trading, you would had heard that, for example, if there are two companies who are, if there are two companies, let it A and B. Suppose A is emitting more, there is a limit for the how much carbon they can emit. Suppose a company, it is going out of the limit, it is it is contributing more carbon emissions, and B is another company which is restricting carbon emissions below the limit. So what can they do? A can, now the how much B has restricted, it can sell it in the carbon market, and A can buy it from the B. A will give the financial assistance to the B. So in this way they can, in a way, curb the carbon emissions, and they can have their goals set, the goals which are set by the organizations, they will achieve that goals. And also they can trade this carbon, they can trade this carbon credit on the basis of same principle. This internationally transferred mitigation outcomes work. So here what happens, there are two countries, one is the partner country and another is the host country. Host country, it is the country, it would be basically the underdeveloped and developing country, and partner country would be the developed or developing countries, we can say. So in this principle, in the internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, what will they do? That the partner country, they will give finances to the host country, which will reduce the carbon credit, and in this way both countries will collaborate. It will work on the same principle as of the carbon credit. Both countries will collaborate and put their efforts to curb the carbon emissions. So this is the net goal of this, net goal of the Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. So this is what the author here highlights, that it is prime time for India to show its leadership role in it, and India can collaborate with the developing countries of Africa, with the global south. India can be the partner country. India can give the finances so that they can achieve the achieve the development rate, they can achieve the targets which are set, which are nationally determined targets which are set by those countries. India can be the partner country. India can give the finances to those countries and show its leadership role in the global south climate corporation. This is the whole nutshell of the article. So in this article, this is all which we had discussed here. Now with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding what this global south cooperation, climate cooperation is about, what this article 6.2 of the Paris agreement, what is this internationally transferred mitigation outcomes. We had discussed about carbon credits. Now I hope you can easily answer this question, but I will help you in answering that. Now let's see what the question says. It says under article 6.2 of the Paris agreement, which is internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, which basically talks about it, plays a crucial role in achieving global climate goals. 100% correct. In this context, consider the following statement. First statement, ITMOs allow countries to transfer carbon credits earned from emission reduction projects to other nations to help meet their nationally determined contributions. 100% correct. Second statement, Article 6.2 emphasizes the importance of ensuring environmental integrity and avoiding double counting of emission reductions. 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. Third statement, the transfer of ITMOs is solely governed by bilateral agreements between countries with no oversight from the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Totally incorrect. There is definitely oversight from the UNFCCC. And why we were discussing this? Because in the COP29, which was held at Baku, Azerbaijan, there was this concept of climate finance was discussed, to mobilize the funds for developing countries, and in this way, India can be the leader. India can be the leader for the global South, through which they can mobilize the finances to the global South countries through this internationally transferred mitigation outcomes. So with this, I hope you had understood the topic as well as this question. Now with this, let's move to the another question and see what else we had brought on this screen. Now here, as you can see, the question is about India's state of forest report. You may ask me a question here, sir. There was no definite mention of the India state of forest report, but why we are discussing this question here? To this, I would like to answer you through the news article which was in the newspaper today, which basically talks about the rising incidence of forest fires. The rising incidence of forest fires. You would have heard about the Los Angeles fires, how it damaged the property there, how many people died because of that, and what are the different causes of these forest fires. This is what the author here discusses. Basically about these forest fires, there are two major reasons associated with it. One is the global warming, which people are ignoring right now. You know how global warming is one of the issue, how people are ignoring it. We had seen Trump not being so serious with respect to global warming as being the leader of one of the biggest powerful country. you know we had seen how it has impacted, how serious global warming is because of the uneven change in the temperatures. This has led to these forest fires. And the another thing which is associated with it is the man-made actions, or we can say anthropogenic causes, because of these causes, the major forest fires had happened since last few decades. And with respect to that, the author here discusses what can be the way forward for this, how we can curb these forest fires in our country too. With respect to India, if we will talk about with respect to India, this report, India State of Forest Report, which it comes under which we would answer after that. In this report, it has highlighted that 36% of our 36%. This report, India State of Forest, it has highlighted that 36% of our forests forests do come under the are vulnerable to the forest fires. That 36% of our forests are vulnerable to the forest fires. So there is definitely need of the mitigation, even though sometimes these forest fires are out of control, but this can be mitigated. Different techniques can be used. We can use technology like AI in this, how we can predict it, all these the global warming issues. We can also educate the people about different habits which they can follow, by which we can reduce it. And also we can take the the indigenous communities, indigenous tribal communities living in the forest, we can take their help, and because of their help we can definitely reduce the impact of these forest fires. So this is what the author here actually talks about. So with this, we know that even though these forest fires happen, they can be natural, very much natural, and sometimes they are out of control of the people. But do you know how much impact they have on the climate? According to the data, 69 million tons of carbon dioxide is emitted. According to the data, 69 million tons of the carbon dioxide is emitted into the atmosphere because of these forest fires. So there is definitely need of what there is definitely need of the there is definitely need of the communities to come in. There is definitely need of the mitigation. There is definitely need to curb these forest fire issues. And also according to the same data, what it was highlighted that due to these forest fires, approximately 1.75 lakh crore rupees loss has found. Is because of these forest fires, the loss has been equated to 1.74 lakh crore rupees. And it highly impacts the local community which are living there. So what are the causes which were highlighted by the author? It can be global, or it can be global warming cause, which is very much, which can be natural as well as anthropogenic. Habits of the people, they will light the cigarettes and they will just throw it there. They will go for the campfires and they will not switch that off and all that stuff. Because of this, these fires, or these are few of the causes of these forest fires. And the report which is brought by and under this report, India State of Forest report, it has highlighted that 36% of our forests are vulnerable to forest fires. And it also has highlighted that you know from last 2 decades, it has highlighted that forest fires incidents have gone up. The forest from last 2 decades, the forest fire incidents has gone up to 10%, and the forest land which has increased in our country, it has increased up to 1.1% only. So we can see directly the difference is there. These forest fires are impacting the forests in our country. They are impacting the people who are living there, the indigenous people. Now there is definitely need that the government should mitigate on it. We should bring in technology to curb it, and also we should deal with the people, the indigenous people. We can educate them. Because of their help, we can reduce all this stuff. We can take the examples from the Nepal and Indonesia, how they had brought in the indigenous people and how they had collaborated with them, and they had stopped and they had brought these forest fires to the lowest levels. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding why we had brought this question. Now with this, let's try to solve the question and find out which is the organization who publishes this report. Here the question says, the India State of Forest Report is a comprehensive assessment of forest cover and tree resources in India. 100% correct. Which organization is responsible for publishing this report? Is it Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change? No. Is it Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education? No. Is it Wildlife Institute of India? No. Then what it is? It is Forest Survey of India. So with this, the correct answer to this question is option C. With this, I hope you had understood this topic as well as the question here. Now let's move to the another slide and see what we had brought there. Now here, as you can see, the question is about the cyber attacks. So why we had brought this question here? Because there was a discussion over the Kaveri portal, Kaveri 2.0 portal, which is used in which is actually a property registration portal in Karnataka. Kaveri 2.0 portal, which is property registration portal. And in this Kaveri 2.0 portal, it is used by many users, but unfortunately from last 2 months, it was not available to them. Users were not able to access it. Why? Because there was distributed denial of services attack, DDoS attack on it. Usually whenever any IT firm is going to form a website, for example, if any results are, whenever there are results out, they they form the website for that, and they know what could be the traffic for that. For example, at the same time, 2 million people will link in. So they will create this portal, this website like that, so that when 2 million people at the same time will link to it, it will not go down, this link will not go down. But you know, in this DDoS portal, what the hackers find out, they find out what is the maximum range of the portal, what is the maximum range of the website, and they continuously send requests to it. They continuously, you know, keep clicking on it, we can say in the simplest language. They continuously send requests, try to open it, and they go beyond the limit, and finally this portal goes down. And because of this portal, you know, Kaveri 2.0 portal, it, as it went down, it has led to the huge losses to the government of Karnataka. Because of this portal going down, it has led to the huge losses to the government of Karnataka. So this is in news. So here the author talks about, even though this portal, the Kaveri 2.0, it is under the Karnataka government. And one thing we know about the Karnataka, it is the IT hub. Karnataka, about one thing about Karnataka, we know it is the IT hub, because in Bengaluru we have the IT hub. So unfortunately, because being the IT hub, you know, they know the importance of cyber security, but after knowing everything, they had not done anything good with this. You know, even though you know about this portal, about this organization, when they had felt these DDoS, you know, when they have felt these attacks, you know, they did not do anything with respect to that. They did not went to the cyber security. They did not filed any claim in the cyber. They did not, they did not took the advantages, or we can say they did not took the help of the cyber police with respect to that. So here author highlights that the importance of these cyber attacks, how we can use the cyber security, what can government do with respect to that, how important is this for the critical infrastructure. You know about critical infrastructure, for example, we have nuclear power plants, we have we have different, we have nuclear power plants, we have public infrastructure, we have airports, dams. They are all, you know, if we will connect all those, they are all controlled by these are the critical infrastructures, and they are controlled by these IT sectors. So if unfortunately these attacks are put on those ITs, those if these cyber attacks are put on this critical infrastructure, it can damage the whole economy of the country. So with respect to this, the author here highlights the importance of these cyber security, how different agencies could come in, how government can bring in different agencies in curbing such issues. For example, we have CERT in, we have the Home Ministry has brought in I4C, which is India Cyber Crime Coordination Center. So these centers could help, these centers could help in reducing those cyber attacks. So that's why this article here, this question becomes important here for you guys. So you need to know here what this distributed denial of service is, and you should know about what the ransomware attacks are. You know, often a question, basically a question about it was asked, the difference between the two. So it becomes important for us to have the basic understanding. Why we brought this question? Because the Kaveri portal 2.0 portal, it was attacked by the DDoS attack, and it was down for months, and it has rendered too much loss to the government of Karnataka. And it has, this incident has shown the negligence from the government of Karnataka, even though they are the IT hub, but they had not taken it seriously, and because of that there had been the loss. And it has highlighted the importance of cyber security, how much it is important in nowadays. So with this, let's try to solve the question and get more idea about the question, from about these concepts from this question. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding cybersecurity. First statement: a distributed denial of service (DDoS) attack aims to overwhelm a target system with excessive traffic, rendering it unable to use users. 100% correct. As I told you in the discussion, that there is a limit for any website which they build, and they create the buffer zone. For example, if they think 2 million people, subscribers will watch it, or will access it, and they will have the buffer zone. Once these cyber criminals get to know about the buffer zone, they will send the requests which will exceed the buffer zone, and it finally leads to the it finally renders this service, and the this website gets down, or we can say in the simplest language. So first statement is correct. Second statement: around a ransomware attack encrypts the victim's data. 100% correct. And demands payment for its decryption, often threatening to delete or leak the data if the ransom is not paid. 100% correct. As the name suggests, it is 100% correct. Third statement: The both DDoS and ransom attacks primarily target individual rather than organizational or government. No, they target both individuals and organizations or government. So third statement is incorrect. So here, with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1 and statement 2 only. With this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the concept behind it. Here, with this, let's move to the another question and see what else we had brought there. Now here you can see the question is about this Operation Devil Hunt. You can ask me a question, sir, why we had brought this question here and what is this concept related to? You know, on in August basically 2024, you would have heard an incident happened in Bangladesh that the Awami League leader, which is Sheikh Hasina, who was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she fled from the country. She fled from the country and took asylum in India. You know, with respect to that, why she fled, we had discussed the story from the beginning till the end in our discussions because there was huge agitation against the political party. You know, there were concerns related to the reservation given to the sons and the grandsons of the freedom fighters. So with respect to that, there was agitation in the Bangladesh and it led to the toppling of the Sheikh Hasina government. Now, after as we know about Sheikh Hasina here, that she was very much friendly to India, and she had controlled the Bangladesh country from the long time. You know, she had controlled every community there, and she was very much a kind of a stable person there. Everyone was almost safe under her control. But once she fled from the country, the government, the Bangladesh, come into the hands of the Mr. Yunus, who is running the interim government there right now. So under his governance, what happened that there were many attacks on different sects, on there were many attacks on the political leaders of the Sheikh Hasina's party. There were attacks on the minorities, especially Hindus and Christians, and also Ahmadiyas. So there was huge attack on the minorities and these people. So it was very much understood this will happen, and world is watching it right now. But recently, a rare incident happened. What was that rare incident? That the we can say the father of the Bangladesh, or he is the man who is behind the liberation of the Bangladesh, Mr. Mujibur Rahman, who is also the father of Sheikh Hasina. So what happened there in the Bangladesh? His residence was destroyed by the mob, and it highlighted the eyes how they had done, what they had done with the leader of with the person who liberated them from the Pakistan. So with respect to this, this Operation Hunt becomes Devil Hunt becomes important. So what is this Operation Devil Hunt? Under this operation, it is the operation by the military of Bangladesh in which they hunt, we can say, they attack the leaders from the Awami League. They believe that they are corrupt, they had done damage to the country, and they are attacking them. So it is against the politicians belonging to the Awami League, which is of the Sheikh Hasina. So with this, it becomes important for us. I hope you had got the basic understanding. Now let's solve the question. Here the question says Operation Devil Hunt, a significant operation aimed at targeting politicians and individuals involved in anti-state activities, is associated with which country? Right now it is associated with Bangladesh. So with this, I hope you had understood the question and also the concept behind it. Now with this, let's move to the last question from the current affairs and see what we had brought. Here the question is regarding the Article 356, which is basically about the emergency. So let's see what does the question say. Regarding Article 356 of the Indian Constitution, which of the following statements are correct? You know, basically it is about the presidential rule. Why we are discussing this? Because we had recently saw that the Manipur CM, he resigned, and the government is now waiting for who will be the CM, and mostly there are chances that there would be the presidential rule will be implemented on that particular state. So with respect to this, Article 356 becomes important for us. Now let's try to understand what it is about. Here the question says regarding Article 356 of Indian Constitution, which of the following statements are correct? First statement, the president can issue a proclamation for president's rule in a state if they are satisfied that a situation has arisen where the state government cannot function according to the constitution. 100% correct. You know, one thing important about this presidential rule, this concept here with respect to Manipur is that, you know, usually the state assembly has to meet after every 6 months, but It is the first time there in the Manipur that state assembly has not met. So with respect to this, can the presidential rule be implemented? You know, this question was asked in the Supreme Court once, and Supreme Court highlighted that this is not the sole reason for which the presidential rule can be implemented. So this is something different. But here, with respect to presidential rule, president can issue a proclamation for president's rule in state if they are satisfied that a situation has arisen where the state government cannot function according to the constitution. So first statement is correct. Second statement, a proclamation under Article 356 must be approved by both houses of the parliament within 2 months of its issuance. 100% correct. It should this order Article 356 must be approved by both houses of the parliament within 2 months of its issuance. Third statement, if approved by the parliament, a proclamation under Article 356 remains in force for 6 months. 100% correct, and can be extended for maximum of 3 years. 100% correct, with parliamentary approval every 6 months. 100% correct. This is also true. So first three statements are correct with respect to the presidential rule. Fourth statement, imposition of president's rule under Article 356 automatically dissolves the state legislative assembly. Totally incorrect. So with respect to this question, what are the correct statements? Correct statements are correct. Statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. With this, what did we learn here? Why we are discussing this? Because of the issue in the Manipur, as the Manipur CM he resigned, and now there are chances that presidential rule will be implemented. In Manipur will come under the center's control. So with this, let's move to the another question. With this, we completed our discussion with respect to current affairs. Now let's move to the second part of our discussion, where we will solve a static question. Here today's static question is about the veto power of the president. As right now we are discussing the legislative powers of the president. Similarly, the president enjoys these veto powers. Let us see what are these veto powers. Let's try to understand them through this question. Here the question says, with reference to the veto powers of the president, consider the following statements. First statement, the president can exercise a veto, a pocket veto or a money bill. For money bill, he either rejects it or accepts it. There is no pocket veto for the money bill. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, president can withhold assent to a bill passed by parliament, thereby effectively vetoing it. 100% correct. He can withhold the bill passed by the parliament, so which effectively vetoing it. So second statement is correct. Third statement, president can return a bill other than a money bill to parliament for reconsideration, but if the parliament passes the bill again without amendments, the president is bound to give assent. 100% correct. If it is not a money bill, for money bill he either rejects it or accepts it. There is no pocket veto or returning of the bill. So if there is an ordinary bill, he returns it to the parliament for reconsideration, but if the parliament passes the bill again without amendments, the president has to accept it. So third statement is correct. Fourth statement, the president possesses an absolute veto over constitutional amendment bills. Totally incorrect, because he does not have veto over the constitutional amendment bill. So fourth statement is incorrect. So with respect to this veto power of the president, with respect to this question, first three statements are correct. That is 1, 2, and 3 only. So with this, we complete our discussion with the static part also. Now let's move to the last part of our discussion, where we will solve a previous year question. Here the question says, which of the following is the characteristic climate for the tropical savanna region? Right now, before we will solve this question, right now we are discussing the physical geography, and this question was asked in 2012. So we had already discussed ancient India, questions related to ancient India, modern, medieval, India's freedom struggle. And right now we are discussing physical geography questions. As this question, it is very much factual and knowledge based question, so nothing much can be done with respect to technique here. So what is the answer to this question? Which of the following is the characteristic climate of the tropical savanna region? To this question, the correct answer would be option D, which is a definite dry and wet season. Wet season. About savanna, it covers, we should know that about savanna, it covers approximately 20% of the Earth's land area. The largest area of savanna is in Africa. The tropical savanna region has a definite dry and wet season. The tropical savanna has definite dry and wet season. So correct answer would be option D. So with this, we complete today's discussion. I hope you would like the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would have understood every concept which we try to discuss here. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. We will try our best to clear that. With this, I would like to thank you guys for staying with me. Thank you very much and have a nice day.